It's really exciting for me to be here at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum to see the Sailing to Freedom exhibition put into a new space with a kind of new spin that ties it into the local history of escape on the Underground Railroad using the water instead of overland escapes. And the water is so important to this region, and it's obvious just looking around the Chesapeake Bay area that for hundreds of years the work of this area has revolved around the water, and that story then to be sort of overlaid onto this particular part of the world, for me, is very exciting to see how escapes on the Maritime Underground Railroad might work in this area. And I think that the staff here of the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum has just done a wonderful job of localizing the story and making it really resonate to people in this region. And that's not a small feat for an exhibition that originated in New England and had a lot to say about the area of the world where I live, which is New Bedford, Massachusetts. But you've really done a great job in making it a local story, and I'm very grateful for that. So the space here is spectacular because you've got this incredible building with the sort of half-timbered walls and it you know, the physical location here on the Maryland waterfront. But I really love the fact that the angular space, the different compartments of the exhibition, the material that I was able to offer from the collections of the New Bedford Whaling Museum has been made to fit here in a really innovative and creative way. And I think that, again, the staff of the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum has done a wonderful job in using the space of this gallery to really make the story stand out and be accessible for visitors who may not have thought much about the idea that people might have escaped on the Underground Railroad by water instead of by land. So this kind of research for me is a real departure. I'm actually trained as an early modern European historian, but I moved to New Bedford to work at the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth, and I lived in New Bedford, and I also had been sailing on traditionally rigged large sailing vessels. So when I started to learn about New Bedford's role as a location and a destination on the Underground Railroad, that got me thinking about the role of ships and the whaling industry and the ways that maritime vessels and trade could be leveraged by people seeking freedom to find their way to a place in a northern port where they could live in freedom and practice some of the maritime skills that they had learned as enslaved people in the South. So it made a lot of sense for me as a maritime historian to devote my attention. And so this has been a process of more than 15 years. We started in New Bedford to run a program that was funded by the National Endowment for the Humanities called Sailing to Freedom, New Bedford and the Underground Railroad. And we started that in about 2010. This coming summer in 2025, we will be for the fifth time running a program for teachers all over the United States who come to New Bedford and learn about the New Bedford side of the Maritime Underground Railroad. But of course I'm going to direct them now to other places where the exhibition about the Maritime Underground Railroad has been shown, and I hope that some of them will make their way to Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum to be able to see the exhibition that now they can't see in New Bedford because it's ended there. One of the really exciting things for any scholar when they publish a project or a book or they work on a museum exhibition, we want to see what the spin-off projects are going to be and what this will initiate as, you know, the next phase of scholarship. And I think that here in the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, you have a wonderful example of people taking a story, localizing it, but then creating new takes and new perspectives that can then be incorporated into the next generation of scholarship. So this is really an essential part of the thing that drives historical inquiry, is finding new sources of information, having people who visit the exhibition say, oh, you know, my great-grandfather was involved in something like this, or I have a tradition in my family about my great-great-grandmother who escaped, and these are stories that we've never told before. And now maybe through that kind of interaction, those kinds of stories can be known. So you never know what's really going to come out of a project like this, but every time that we have new people visiting the exhibition, you have the opportunity for new stories to be told.